There was once a Britain where the word stranger meant something different than it does today. It didn't mean danger, it didn't mean risk, it didn't automatically spark suspicion. Instead, it simply meant a person you hadn't met yet. It was a Britain where neighbours knew one another by name, where front doors stayed unlocked, where communities looked after each other's children, and where everyday life rested on something rare today: basic human trust. We're about to step back into that world. A Britain where kindness wasn't unusual, where generosity was normal, where being part of a community meant belonging to something larger than yourself. This is the Britain that trusted strangers. Chapter 1. Doors that didn't need locks. Let's begin with the simplest symbol of trust: the humble front door. Today, we turn keys, we slide bolts, we set alarms. Some even check cameras from their phones. But decades ago, doors weren't barriers, they were invitations. Many homes stayed unlocked all day. Some stayed unlocked all night. A neighbour might stop by and walk straight in with a familiar call of, "It's only me," and nobody jumped. Nobody panicked. Nobody questioned it. An unlocked door didn't mean carelessness. It meant confidence in neighbours, in community, in one another. Chapter 2. The neighbourhood watched over itself. Long before CCTV and security lights, Britain had its own security system, its people. The street didn't need cameras, it had eyes. Windows were kept open, literally and figuratively. People noticed things. They noticed everyone. Not in a nosy way, but in a caring way. The woman 2 doors down knew when the Jones family went on holiday. The man at number 7 knew when the children came home from school. And the older lady at the corner always had a gentle eye on the street, knitting by the window, taking in the world. If a child tripped, someone was there before tears could fall. If a stranger walked unusually slowly past houses, someone noticed, not to accuse, but to understand. The neighbourhood was a living map of families, personalities, routines, and warmth. Chapter 3. Borrowing without scorekeeping. Imagine running out of milk today. Many would jump in a car, drive to a supermarket, or order online. Decades ago, the solution was simpler. You knocked on a neighbour's door. You didn't feel rude. They didn't feel bothered. You didn't bring money. You brought trust. People borrowed cups of sugar, tea bags, tools, pushers, blankets, eggs, hossapoppies, even prams. Nobody kept lists. Nobody kept score. The understanding was unspoken. You'll bring it back when you can. Trust didn't require contracts. It required neighbours. Chapter 4. The shopkeepers who knew your name before self-checkouts and corporate chains. The local corner shop was a sanctuary of familiarity. The shopkeeper wasn't a stranger behind a counter. He was part of the community, a witness to its small stories. He knew which families were struggling, which children could be trusted, which elderly neighbours needed checking on, who preferred tea over coffee, and who always forgot their wallet. If you came up short in coins, he didn't sigh. He didn't enforce a rule. He simply said, "Just pay me next time." Honor meant more than cash. And people never abused it. That was the beauty of it. Chapter 5. Hitchhiking. When traveling with strangers was normal today, hitchhiking is viewed with deep suspicion, something dangerous, reckless, unthinkable. But from the 1950s to the 1970s, it was ordinary. Young adults thumbed lifts to the coast. Holidaymakers shared rides. Drivers pulled over simply because they felt like helping. It was a transaction of humanity. You needed a ride. They had a seat. That was enough. People trusted their instincts, their guts, and, most importantly, their fellow humans. Stories emerged from those journeys, friendships, confessions, unlikely alliances formed on long roads. Some people still remember the exact drivers they met only once, but never forgot. Chapter 6. The people who were practically family: the milkman, the postman, the paper boy, the butcher, the grocer, the bus conductor, the policeman on the corner. These weren't distant workers. They were extensions of the home, familiar, trusted, welcomed. The milkman's clinking bottles were part of Don's soundtrack. The postman greeted you by name. The paper boy greeted your dog by name. The bus conductor helped elderly passengers off the bus. The local policeman was someone children ran toward, not away from. Trust didn't just come from within the community. It was woven into the roles that served it. Chapter 7. Children who grew up fearlessly. Perhaps the strongest symbol of trust wasn't between adults, but between adults and children. Children walked alone to school. They wandered miles from home. They asked strangers for help. They bought sweets by themselves. They visited friends without calling ahead. And if they fell, scraped a knee, or got lost, strangers didn't walk past, they stepped in. Everyone became a guardian when needed. Imagine that, a society where children trusted strangers and strangers trusted children. This wasn't naive. It was normal. Chapter 8. Trust expressed through small acts. Trust wasn't dramatic. It didn't announce itself. It lived in the little things. A neighbour watering your garden while you were away. Someone lending their car without worry. Letting kids play in a neighbour's backyard. Passing a stroller to a mother who needed help. Watching a stranger's bike while they popped inside a shop. Sharing bus change without expecting it back. These were not heroic gestures. They were habits, tiny rituals that made life warmer. Trust was the invisible glue that held streets, communities, and relationships together. Chapter 9. The slow fade of trust. Trust didn't vanish all at once. It dimmed slowly, like an old light bulb, fading after decades of service. As Britain modernized, something subtle shifted. More cars meant fewer neighbours on the street. More screens meant fewer conversations. More news meant more fear. More locks meant fewer open doors. More convenience meant less dependency on neighbours. By the 1990s, trust had become optional. By the 2000s, it became unusual. By the 2010s, it became rare. We didn't choose to lose it. We drifted away from it. Chapter 10A. Britain still remembered, yet trust isn't extinct. It lives in memories. It lives in stories. It lives in people who still remember a time when community mattered more than caution. A time when people didn't live behind barriers. A time when help came without hesitation. A time when kindness didn't need to be earned, only offered. This is the Britain we remember. Not perfect, not polished, but connected. A Britain where strangers weren't frightening. They were simply friends waiting to happen. Conclusion: your memories matter. If you lived through this era, you didn't just witness trust, you carried it. Tell your stories. Tell us who your neighbours were. Tell us who you trusted and who trusted you. Tell us about the doors that were always open. Your memories aren't small details. They are pieces of Britain's living memory. Thank you for watching Britain Remembered. Subscribe to preserve these stories so they're never lost, never forgotten, and never ignored. Because trust didn't disappear. It simply waits for us to remember.